Picture this. You've just landed.
Oh, the best feeling, right.
Well, usually. You've successfully navigated the tyranny of the middle seat, you grabbed your bags off the carousel, and you step out onto the curb at the airport.
Right into the chaos.
Exactly. You pull out your phone, fully expecting to, be on your way to your hotel in minutes, but instead you're just standing there, staring at the screen.
Watching that tiny little digital car icon spin in endless circles.
Yeah, while the surge pricing literally multiplies right before your eyes.
The airport curb is, it's basically the ultimate modern stress test. It is the exact geographical coordinate where the illusion of seamless consumer technology just completely breaks down.
It really does. And that sheer panic of standing there wondering, like, will I actually get a ride? And is it going to cost me a quarter of my paycheck? That is exactly what we are unpacking today.
It's a universal experience at this point.
It is. So welcome to today's deep dive into the business of modern transit. We're using this fascinating promotional brief we received as our lens today. It's titled, Top 5 Reasons to Book Executive Transportation Ontario Airport.
But, our mission today isn't to just read off their marketing bullet points.
Oh, definitely not. We are going to deconstruct the underlying psychology and really the hidden economics of travel. We want to figure out why high-level professionals are actively ditching those ubiquitous tap-of-a-button gig economy apps in favor of dedicated executive car services.
Right. And to ground this analysis, we're looking at Ontario International Airport, or ONT, out in Southern California.
Which is a pretty specific market.
It is, but ONT is the perfect case study. I mean, it's a massive regional hub handling serious corporate traffic, but it requires really intricate local navigation once you actually leave the terminal.
Yeah, that Southern California sprawl is no joke.
Exactly. And the core argument in this source material, it fundamentally challenges how we evaluate travel logistics. The thesis here is that when you are flying in for business, your time, your cognitive bandwidth, and ironclad reliability are worth exponentially more than the perceived convenience of an app.
So let's start with the mechanics of that reliability, because the contrast is pretty jarring when you look under the hood.
Oh, it's night and day.
Right. The very first thing this executive transport company promises is punctuality built on real-time flight tracking. So they aren't just hoping a car happens to be driving past the airport when you land.
No, they are monitoring the actual FAA telemetry of your flight.
Which is wild.
It is. The technological difference here is what we might call a reactive net versus a predictive pipeline.
Okay, break that down for me. Reactive net.
Yeah, so gig apps operate on a reactive net. You land, you take your phone off airplane mode, and the app suddenly registers your location.
Along with everyone else on my flight.
Right. It groups you with 500 other passengers who just did the exact same thing,
Wow.
which triggers an algorithm that creates artificial scarcity, and then it pings a driver who might be, miles away in heavy traffic. It is entirely reactionary.
Wow. Okay. While the executive service is using, what did you call it? A predictive pipeline.
A predictive pipeline, yes. If you're delayed for an hour over Denver, or, say, a tailwind means you land 20 minutes early, their dispatch system already knows.
Oh, so they adjust before you even know you're early.
Exactly. They stage the vehicle in a commercial holding lot before the wheels even touch the tarmac. That completely eliminates the chaotic scramble or that awful scenario where a driver gets confused and circles Terminal 2 3 times while you were standing at Terminal 4.
Oh, man, I have been there waving frantically at every silver sedan that drives by.
We all have. And this mechanism feeds directly into the financial side of the equation, too.
Right, the pricing.
Yeah, because the service relies on predictive scheduling rather than algorithmic scarcity. They offer fixed-rate, transparent pricing.
Which means no surge multipliers.
None. The price is locked in, whether you arrive on a sleepy Tuesday morning or, during the peak holiday rush on a late-night red-eye. No hidden wait time fees, nothing.
Okay, I want to push back on this a little bit, though, because looking at this from a pure cost perspective, playing the rideshare roulette wheel sometimes actually works in your favor.
Sure, sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah, sometimes you land, you hit a lull in demand, you get a car in 3 minutes, and it's a completely reasonable price. So if gig apps are literally everywhere, and sometimes they are dirt cheap, is fixed rate pricing genuinely a game changer, or is it just a nice perk for people who don't want to look at their screens?
Well, you're looking at it through the lens of an individual consumer optimizing a single trip.
Okay, fair enough.
You got to shift your perspective to, say, a chief financial officer or a corporate travel manager. In the B2B world, predictability is the ultimate currency.
Because they have to budget everything in advance.
Exactly. Fluctuating demand pricing is a forecasting nightmare. Let's say you have a team of 20 executives flying into ONT for a multi-day conference.
That's a lot of rides.
Right. If they all use gig apps and they happen to land during a rainstorm or a massive surge window, your transportation budget for that single afternoon could blow up by thousands of dollars with zero warning.
Yeah, I guess you can't put, maybe it'll cost $50, maybe it'll cost $300 on a quarterly budget spreadsheet.
You absolutely cannot. The hidden economics of travel dictate that volatility costs money. By eliminating the fluctuating demand pricing, the executive car service turns a highly stressful, totally unpredictable variable into a stable, manageable fixed cost.
So you know the exact financial footprint of the trip before the employee even packs their suitcase.
Precisely. It is a risk mitigation strategy.
Okay, so if the fixed pricing gets the CFO on board, let's talk about what happens once the executive actually closes the car door. Because once the financial anxiety is removed, the source material pivots heavily to the interior environment of the vehicles themselves.
Right, the physical experience.
Yeah, they detailed this fleet of late-model sedans, SUVs, and executive sprinter vans featuring climate control, plush leather seating, spotless interiors, and tinted windows. And the drivers are heavily vetted, professionally trained, and specifically briefed on offering absolute discretion.
Which is huge. The environment inside the vehicle is arguably the most critical component for international business travelers and C-level executives.
Just like their sanctuary.
Yeah. The promotional brief explicitly connects this highly controlled environment to the psychology of client impressions and corporate productivity.
I keep picturing the back of one of these executive sedans as a sort of mobile boardroom, or really like a sensory deprivation tank for corporate stress.
That's a great way to describe it.
But I have to ask the skeptical question here again. Are things like plush leather, tinted windows, and a driver in a suit genuinely necessary for business? Or is it just about flexing status? I mean, it feels a little like a vanity play to send a luxury car just to pick someone up from the airport.
It does sound like that at first glance. But let's trip away the vanity aspect and look at the cognitive load.
Okay, cognitive load.
Imagine an international business partner flying into Southern California. They're dealing with a 9-hour time difference, they are horribly jet-lagged, and they are trying to prepare mentally for a high-stakes merger negotiation.
Right, they're already stressed.
Extremely. If their first experience on the ground involves wandering around a chaotic rideshare island trying to match a license plate while dragging their luggage, their cortisol levels are spiking.
They're frustrated before they even get to the meeting.
Exactly. Their cognitive battery is draining before they even reach your office.
You're introducing massive friction into their day.
Right. But if a professional driver conducts a proper meet and greet at baggage claim, handles their luggage, and ushers them into a quiet, climate-controlled, spotlessly clean environment with tinted windows,
It's a totally different experience.
you are actively managing their psychological state. You're signaling competence and reliability. You are essentially telling that client, we have everything handled. Your only job is to focus on our meeting. It is a psychological warm-up act.
That makes a lot of sense.
And add to that the functional utility of discretion. If you're a team of executives going over sensitive quarterly financials or discussing a looming acquisition, you simply cannot have that conversation in the back of a random app-dispatched car.
Because you have no idea who is driving.
You have no idea who the driver is, what their background is, or whether their dash cam is recording audio that might end up on the internet.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about the dash cams.
Yeah, it's a real security issue. The tinted windows and the vetted chauffeur provide the necessary confidentiality to transform the vehicle from mere transit into a secure extension of the corporate workspace.
That is a brilliant point. I mean, we've all experienced the sheer awkwardness of trying to take a serious work call in the backseat of a Prius while the driver is blasting like a true crime podcast over the stereo.
It's impossible to focus.
You lose an entire hour of productivity just sitting in silence because you can't talk.
The executive service reclaims that hour. It's about protecting the asset. And in this case, the asset is the traveler's time and focus.
Which brings us to the most, I guess, aggressive part of this source material. The company Ontario Airport Car and Sedan Service, they actually include a section explicitly pitting themselves against the gig economy feature by feature.
They do not hold back.
No, they don't. They highlight that gig apps cannot guarantee a luxury vehicle, they can't provide a professionally trained driver, and they offer zero flight tracking or meet and greet capabilities.
It's a stark comparison.
Very. But then they list their own operational features like dedicated customer support, flexible wait times, and invoice-ready billing for corporate clients. They even quote a corporate travel manager, Sarah T., who praises their communication and punctuality for all ONT pickups.
Invoice-ready billing is actually a crucial mechanism to analyze here, particularly when contrasting an executive service with a consumer app.
And this is where I really need you to break it down for me. Because Sarah T. holds up this invoice-ready billing as a massive win. But we are living in the year 2026.
Right.
My rideshare app automatically emails a digital receipt directly to my company's expense software. It takes 2 seconds. Looking at it from the outside, a manual invoice-ready billing system actually sounds like a step backward. Why is this administrative detail the secret weapon that wins over corporate clients?
Because expense software only syncs what you spent. It does absolutely nothing to control why you spent it, or the chaos surrounding the transaction itself.
Okay, expand on that.
Think about the scale of a corporate travel manager. You're thinking like a single user. Sarah T is likely managing 50 different executives.
Oh, that's a lot of receipts.
Right. If they all use consumer apps, she's managing 50 individual, disparate API pings. She's dealing with employees who linked the wrong personal credit card, rides that got canceled and charged a penalty fee, and surge prices that require an override code in the accounting software.
So she isn't just filing receipts, she's conducting 50 separate micro-audits every single month.
Exactly the problem. The gig economy has normalized a chaotic backend. A true B2B transportation partner utilizes batch billing.
Which simplifies everything.
Completely. The executive car service manages the flight delays, they manage the routing, they manage the wait times, and at the end of the month, they send Sarah T's accounting department one single, clean, consolidated invoice.
Oh, wow. So they only pay once?
Yes. It completely bypasses the auditing phase. It saves the accounting department countless hours of chasing down employees for explanations on why a 3-mile ride cost $80.
The hidden economics again. The $50 app ride actually ends up costing the company $300 when you factor in the lost productivity of the employee trying to find the car and the back office administrative hours spent reconciling all that messy data.
Exactly. It transforms transportation from a fragmented headache that individual employees have to solve on the fly into a fully streamlined, managed service. That is why B2B operations thrive on invoices.
To really see how this plays out on the ground, let's look at the specific geography this company operates in. Because treating Ontario airport car and sedan service as a case study reveals a lot about the logistics of the region.
It's a very unique landscape.
Yeah, the source material maps out what we could call the Southern California corporate circuit. They cover destinations from downtown Los Angeles all the way east through the Inland Empire.
A notoriously complex, sprawling transit corridor. Traffic there is legendary.
Very complex. They specifically highlight corporate parks in Ontario, Rancho Cucamonga, and Riverside. They're routinely navigating to hubs like the Ontario Convention Center, the Claremont Colleges, Ontario Mills Mall, and various business parks in Upland and Pomona.
They cover a massive area.
They do. Operationally, they recommend booking 24 to 48 hours in advance, especially around major conferences. And they feature a review from a business traveler named Michael B., who calls it, hands down, the most professional transportation I've experienced in Ontario, specifically noting the immaculate car and the driver who's waiting exactly on time.
Now, reviews and promotional briefs are always curated, of course.
Right, naturally.
But the underlying logistics of Michael B.'s experience speak to a larger truth about regional dispatching.
And that's my next question. With a map that huge stretching from the Riverside Corporate Plaza all the way to downtown LA, does having a local, dedicated driver actually save you measurable time compared to just firing up a GPS app? We all have access to the exact same traffic data on our phones.
Having access to data is, it's very different from having local experiential knowledge.
How so?
Let's look at how algorithmic routing behaves in a highly congested area like Southern California. A global GPS algorithm might route a gig worker onto the 10 freeway because the data shows it is clear at this exact second.
But it might not stay clear.
Exactly. A dedicated regional chauffeur knows that a specific on-ramp in Rancho Cucamonga backs up for 2 miles every day at 3:15 p.m. because of a nearby school letting out.
Ah, so the algorithm is looking at the present, but the local driver is anticipating the immediate future.
Precisely. Furthermore, local knowledge dictates the micronavigation at the destination itself.
What do you mean by micronavigation?
Well, a consumer app might drop you at the physical street address of the Ontario Convention Center, right?
Yeah, usually at the main pin on the map.
Right, leaving you to walk half a mile around the perimeter in the heat just to find the correct registration hall. But a regional executive chauffeur knows the specific loading dock entrances, the VIP drop zones at the Claremont colleges, and the exact corporate plaza layouts in Riverside.
So they aren't just driving the car, they are actively navigating the friction of the region on your behalf.
Which loops perfectly back to their requirement of booking 24 to 48 hours in advance. They are not an on-demand roll-the-dice service.
They're planning ahead.
Yes. They are scheduling their fleet and staging their drivers strategically across that sprawling map to ensure that when your flight touches down at ONT, your vehicle is already integrated into the local traffic pattern. Eliminating the variable of getting lost, getting stuck in the wrong lane, or missing an unmarked entrance, that is how you save highly measurable, highly valuable time.
It is so much more than just putting someone in a nice car. We have covered incredible ground today, starting from the visceral stress of the airport curb and moving all the way into the serenity of the mobile boardroom.
It's quite a journey.
It really is. We've unpacked how predictive flight pipelines and fixed-rate pricing completely dismantle the anxiety and those hidden corporate costs of rideshare algorithms.
We've also examined the deep psychological impact of first impressions, understanding how managing cortisol levels and cognitive load for visiting executives is a very tangible business strategy.
Absolutely. And we've seen how seemingly antiquated systems like consolidated manual invoicing actually provide massive back-end efficiency for corporate travel managers dealing with dozens of employees.
Which is counterintuitive, but so true.
And by using the Southern California corporate circuit as our map, we discovered that true regional expertise outsmarts global GPS algorithms when it comes to navigating the specific complexities of convention centers and sprawling business parks.
So the ultimate takeaway for you, the listener, is really about the allocation of your resources.
Yeah.
Whether you are a CFO auditing a travel budget, an executive preparing for a high-stakes meeting in Riverside, or simply someone who just wants a quiet, climate-controlled ride home from ONT after a long trip, prioritizing the quality of your transit is an investment.
It's an investment in yourself.
Exactly. It's about actively taking control of your environment rather than surrendering it to the whims of an algorithm.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as we wrap up. Think about the sheer amount of time we spend optimizing every other aspect of our travel.
Oh, people spend hours on it.
Literally hours. We will hunt down the perfect flight itinerary to avoid a bad layover. We will read hundreds of reviews to make sure we book the best hotel room. We will even research, debate, and purchase the most perfectly engineered ergonomic luggage.
So much luggage research.
Right. But if we are willing to invest all that time, money, and energy to guarantee a seamless trip, why do we so often leave the crucial first and last mile of our journey entirely up to chance?
It's a huge blind spot.
It really is. What could you actually achieve if your commute to and from the airport wasn't a necessary evil you had to survive, but was strategically designed to be the most productive or perhaps the most peaceful part of your entire trip?